Now we have the two halves of the album and the songs in both of them. What do we do now? Well, clearly we don't have the same number of tracks, and since I'm including Overthinking and Don't Love Me as well, which totally belong to the first half, Disappointment, well, because Overthinking is the trigger of all this disappointment, and Don't Love Me rejects the idea of love itself because it's too risky to be vulnerable, which ultimately leads to disappointment anyway. So now we know we need that balance, and the gap that we need to fill in is starting to reveal itself slowly. Okay, to be exact, we have 6 tracks in the first half and 3 in the second half. So to balance it out, I'll probably need like 3 more songs. So I know you might be thinking, I can just write 3 more songs and put them in, right? Well, sort of, but not really. You see, before this, I was trying to make the album concept work for the songs because I was subconsciously connecting the songs together. But now that we have already established that, okay, this is the basis of the album, we have some narrative parameters to adhere to. So now instead, we have to try to make the songs work for the album. Okay, but how exactly do we make the songs work for the album concept? I have an idea. Let's try to make sense of whatever we have right now in the second half, and we'll go from there. So remember last time I did say that Options was a pretty difficult track to put in either half of the album because it's quite ambiguous, and I was gonna make it the transition between the two halves. So how about we have Options as the starting point of the second half? And remember, I also said that No Promises was the ending point of the journey, so we could probably have it as the last track of the second half of the album as well, same thing. So we have the starting point and the ending point, and there's still Enough to Love, which will probably in the middle somewhere. So that simplifies things. Now all we have to do is connect the story between Options to No Promises. Like, how do we go from having multiple options and being confused about where to go to deciding that, okay, I'm not gonna promise anything and be comfortable with that. Okay, but here comes the problem. How do we actually connect these three? Like from Options to Enough to Love and to No Promises. Because like they actually quite wildly different from one another. So how do we do this? I know I look like I have the answer, but I honestly don't. I don't. What I have, however, is an idea, and it's either gonna work really well or it's gonna be a complete disaster where I'm gonna have to spend 6 months working on it like I did with Slow It Down. Okay, so there are 2 songs from a bunch of other songs that I wrote in January this year that was gonna scrap because like they're on the really far end of my experimental size. Like I was really trying out new things, like some weird key change and modulation and all that. So they're quite risky to put out, to be honest, but honestly, what do I have to lose? But this is where the work comes in. They both don't have a title yet, and one of them is not even completed. Like, it's just a really raw initial demo of it. So yeah, I need to work that out, but the reason why I think they're gonna fit in really well in the second half of the album, the acceptance part, is that they're both my observation of how I've been living my life. From different angles, of course. So in a way, they reconnect me with who I really am from the past and help me accept that, okay, this is what we have to work with before committing to the ideal promise of no promises. Because apparently who I think I am and who I'm actually am are 2 different things. Okay, let's set up with those 2 for now, but we still need 1 more song since we need like three to add to the album. So yeah. So after reading through a thought that I put down in my journal the other day, I have an idea. Since we're on the topic of like looking back to the past to find out who I really am, maybe we can write a song about how much that past impacts us and like grow into whatever I am right now. It's kind of like trauma, but not to that extent. Okay, not to brag or anything, but I used to be an overachiever. Like I used to be good at studying, good at sports, good at music. Basically, I was that kid, and I had this image of the perfect child that my parents are proud of, and they still are, hopefully. And recently, when I was on a call with my mom, and she told me that my cousin is looking up to me to study hard and do whatever. But like you might be thinking, yeah, that must be nice, that's cool. And I thought so as well. Like, oh, okay, that's nice. Like, my cousin's looking up to me and all that. But then it felt really strange to me. Like, I felt this massive responsibility to live up to that perfect image. But then I also realized that I'm actually doing this to myself. Like, I'm looking up to my future self to live up to this perfect image that I'm going to be happy, that I'm going to be successful and all that. But that future self, that future version of me, that perfect version of me only exists in the present, which is me. So yeah, it's such a self-destructive loop. I think to put it in the album, to put it in the context of the second half of the album at least, it will be about how I have to get rid of the image of the talented kid or the gifted kid. Oh, that's a cool title. Yeah, I think we got a title. Anyway, yeah, we have to like get rid of that to really accept who we are, or who I am. I keep saying we, it's just me. So to summarize, we now have 2 songs without titles to work on and a songs with a title to write. I'm gonna call it Gifted Kid, such a cool title. So while I work on them, we'll sort out the first half of the album, like the track orders. I know you're probably more curious about the music than whatever I was just rambling on. Anyway, till next time, see ya.